Supreme Court is examining whether, quote-unquote, essential religious practices can override fundamental rights to equality. The current hearing before a 9-judge bench led by Chief Justice Surya Kant is on petitions relating to discrimination against women at religious places, including Sabarimala temple. Can we have visuals of Sabarimala with us at this point, and on the ambit and scope of religious freedom practiced by multiple faiths? The court's guidelines will also help decide whether women can be denied entry into Parsi temples and Muslim mosques, and whether religious leaders of Bora community can excommunicate people, and the legality of female genital mutilation. The petitions challenged the landmark 2018 Supreme Court judgment, which struck down the ban on women of menstruating age from entering Sabarimala. In their 2018 order, the top court judges said keeping women out was discriminatory and unconstitutional, as the right to practice religion is available to both men and women. Speaking on this issue, Justice Nagaratna said today, speaking as a woman, Article 17 can't apply for 3 days, and on the 4th day, there is no untouchability. The government has said that straitjacket definition of what constitutes a religious denomination or which religious practices are essential would compress the inherently plural nature of Hinduism, expressed through diverse sects, groups, spiritual lineages, religious traditions, faith, practices, rituals, customs and beliefs. Opening the arguments, Solicitor General Tushar Mehta argued that a secular court can't decide a religious practice as mere superstition because you don't have scholarly competence. My lords are scholars in the field of law, not in the field of religion. And that restricting a particular gender within a specific age group from entering a place of worship is not discrimination. He also argued that it is the duty of legislation to enact laws for social reforms and judicial review. In fact, the Solicitor General argued that Supreme Court today verbally expressed that courts cannot be barred from striking down practices or superstition if they violate public order, morality or health, even if the legislature has powers to make laws for reform of religion. It cited examples of other superstitious practices, witchcraft, cannibalism and sati, to make this point. It is said that since there is a religious practice of witchcraft and the legislature is silent, can't the court use the principles of an unoccupied field to give directions of prohibiting such practices? The hearings are slated to continue until April 22nd. There are 3 big questions the court is really looking at. Can a faith-based practice be protected if it violates equality? Can courts call a practice unconstitutional even if lawmakers haven't acted? Who decides what is essential religion or essential religious practices, and what is mere exclusion, taboo or superstition? That's why this case is much bigger than one temple dispute. And I'm being joined at this point by Arsha Abhilash, who's a software engineer as well as a Ayyappa devotee. I'm also being joined by Dr. Nisha Nujumuddin, who's a public policy expert. Thank you very much, both of you, for joining me. Thank you for taking your time. Now, here's my first question to you, Arsha Abhilash. You are somebody who is a strong Ayyappa devotee. You're a woman and you're seeing what's happening, one with the Sabarimala issue, to the kind of arguments that's coming up before the Supreme Court. I want to ask you a very simple question. As an Ayyappa devotee, given a choice, would you want women to go inside the temple, or does it hurt your faith? Does it hurt your religious sensibilities?
Okay, thank you, Sneha. Thank you for this opportunity. No, it wouldn't hurt my faith. It wouldn't hurt my spirituality. In fact, I would be more than happy if a woman who really want to go there get an opportunity to be there and worship the God which she is dreamed of. And when they get that opportunity to be there, that might be a lifelong wish for them to fulfill. So I would be really happy if any of my female comrades or myself get a chance to go there when we wish to go there.
All right, Nisha, how do you look at this? I have to ask you this question. I know you come from, you are a Muslim. Ha- and what's happening in the court today is not really about just Hinduism. A lot of these aspects are going to come under its purview, uh, including access of uh, access to women, access of women to the innermost sanctum sanctorum, even within mosques and dargahs.
See, faith is something that has to be protected. If you see, even Article 25 of the Indian Constitution talks about protection of faith, no matter which of the religion, right? And now talking about the issue of Sabarimala, as my another co-panel was saying, of course, she is a devotee of Sabarimala. Even I, being a Muslim also, I do have a lot of respect for other religions as well. And as you Sneha, you told me regarding the Muslim perspective as well. See, every religion, every faith, nobody is asking you to follow it blindly. But talking about Sabarimala, there is something, that particular deity, that particular sanctum has certain protocols we followed where they're never saying women's not to enter. Women's are age or let particular deity, or they have certain calls wherein they want to by it. And again, you need to understand Shabrimala as an epitome of Hindu unity. For the fact,
All right, Nisha, I'll have to interrupt you at this
yeah.
point. Let my team help you adjust your audio. There seems to be some problem with your audio. Let me just come to you at this point, Arsha Bilash. Now, here's the question. You heard Nisha briefly right now speak. Nisha is saying every religion has a core. Every religion has a core religious practice. And that's why it's kind of very important to have conversations across the spectrum. Would you say menstruating women not being allowed inside Sabarimala as a devotee for you, is that part of what would be the core or essential religious practices? Because the center has told the court this is not discriminatory.
Yeah, so how I see it is as discriminatory, because we know that we are actually evolving from cavemen to today's modern world. So during this process, this life journey, we had changed whatever is necessary and needed for the humankind to develop. So, for example, the lower castes were not able to enter into the temples, so that was also there at one point of time, and then it changed. And just like that, when we say about equality and when we say about every gender to be treated equally, I really believe that that is also considered kind of like an untouchability for when we say that a woman cannot enter when they are in the menstruating time period. And I don't think that every Hindu or every Hindu would be taking it as a challenge to go to the temple or to Shabarimala in particular. Some people might be going to Guruvayur, some people might be going to Shabarimala. It all depends on how we see or how we like to go to the temple, right? So even if the court decides and give the permission to go to Shabarimala, I really don't think that majority of the devotees who has a very strict faith on that might choose to go, because they still have that infiltrated thing, that culture we had grown up or we conditioned in such a way. But there are people who really think that those 3 days or 4 days are not considered to be impurity, considered to be, they cannot enter into the temple or they cannot do the worship. Those kind of people are there. They are also humans. They are also have the equal right to go there. So when they think that they can go there, they can go and see their god and do the worship, I really think that they should be able to go there. And that will not, for my case, I think that my Ayappa, my lord, will not be taking it into a negative way, because when we think about it, it's a supreme power. The supreme power knows how to handle the situations, right? And they when people say that we have to protect Ayappa, I really feel it as a very in a funny way, because who are we to protect a supreme power? A supreme power is there. If we believe in a supreme power, like, if there is, the this god sun,
All right.
or any other god, it will
Okay.
be like,
Do we have Nisha with us right now? All right, I think we're trying to get Nisha back on the line with us. But coming to you again at this point, Arsha, one of the questions that the court is also looking at is whether a secular body can decide on religion. Because India has something which is separation of powers. You have very different, distinct identities, and the state has told the court that religion has essential practices. Secular bodies cannot take decisions about that. Another thing that is being discussed is whether those not being part of that religion, can they file PILs about a specific religion? How do you look at this?
Okay, so about the second part, I am not a Muslim person, but if you ask me, I would really want the Muslim women who would like to enter into a mosque, they should be able to, they should get that, permission to enter, or they do the worship inside a mosque. And for the first part, yes, we say that state and church should be different, and being a secular country, but being a secular country, the court should be secular. But at the same point, when somebody thinks the secularism which we provide, the democratism which we provide, we are proud of, is not giving
Right.
equal opportunity for a person, then that's a problem. If everybody feels the same, then it's okay. But if at least one person think that it is an inequality, it is a discrimination towards them, then we have to interfere, right? That's why we have
Right.
court. That's why
Okay.
we have the secular team there.
Okay. In fact, if I can request my team to just put out those graphics where we are speaking about, the Bora Muslim community, we're speaking about the Parsis and about how the Sabarimala verdict is going to impact that. If we can put those graphics out. Back to you at this point, Nisha, we were waiting for you. So we had Arsha say that she finds it discriminatory that somebody else tells her that she's not welcome, say in Sabarimala, because she's a woman. Or she's menstruating, and why should anybody need to protect someone from her? That's her perspective. How would you look at it? Because you have been at the forefront of this discourse, even from a perspective of Muslims. And today the court, not just today, but in days to come, the court is also going to decide about the ramifications of religious practices on Muslim and Parsi women along with Christians as well.
See, I'm somebody who supports again women empowerment, and I, being a woman, is not here to say that menstruation is something that is bad. I say that I bleed with pride. Seriously, I would love to say to all the women and girls out there, bleed with pride. But when you talk about the issue of Sabarimala, see, again, as an Indian citizen, I would say that my constitution is first. That is why I said that Article 25 of the Indian Constitution talks about faith has to be protected no matter whatever religion we follow. So constitution first, but religion has a space too, because the constitution of a country itself protects freedom of religion, which means it also includes the right of devotees to preserve their age-old practices. So law must actually protect the religion and they do not destroy it. And people need to understand the difference between what is the right versus religious right. Because see, individual rights are very important for you, for me, even for Bilasha, whoever is on as a panelist as well here. But not as activists, right? Say, for example, a practice is essential to faith, but we should also respect the age-old belief that we have, and we need to understand that it's not harming anybody. If you see age-old practice, we had sati, where the women will go and
That's what the court is also, one of the judges brought that up, that the court does have the right to right to intervene in cases of sati.
Sati, that's what I'm telling you. See, sati is something where it didn't make a logical sense for the fact that, you are sacrificing your own life. Where is the right to life there? But over here in Sabarimala, again, they are not, nowhere it is said that women are not allowed. It's just that they said that the age restriction happens there. And again, the Naishtika Brahmachari who is sitting there, the devotee is the Naishtika Brahmachari. And it is very important that we need to actually have some sort of, consideration for that. I heard
Nisha, as a Muslim woman, does this, what's happening in this Sabarimala case, does it impact you? Does it make you want to follow this? Is it something that you think is going to shape how Muslim women are going to be seen with a religious lens?
See,
Again, Sabarimala, as once again I want to mention a point here, but lakhs of devotees, when they visit Sabarimala, they stop down for a while, they pay their respect to Vavar, and then they go and visit the main deity there. That is why I said that Sabarimala is a place where, it's an epitome of both Hindu plus Muslim unity. You can find a secularism, a kind of pluralistic kind of, sanctum there. And as a Muslim woman, again, if you see, if you talk about the entry of dargahs, you talk about the Parsi women's thing, this was brought into limelight, I would say that, see, Sabarimala's perspective is totally different from what we talk about the Muslim perspective. As a Muslim lady, again, I do not want to enter the tomb where I'm not supposed to enter, because I want to preserve certain things. It is never a discrimination. It is a religious self-determination. Doesn't mean that I'll be blindly following what the religion tells if it is superstitious also. Here it is not the question of superstition, because if Hinduism can have thousands of temples where women worship freely, why must Sabarimala alone be recast by a judicial fiat? Could be a question asked by somebody else. But then, for that, the very simple answer is that it is a religious self-determination and never a discrimination.
All right.
This has to be understood by people. Yeah.
Okay. Arsha Abhilash, as well as Dr. Nisha Nujumuddin, thank you very much for your time. Two very, very different perspectives. And I think that's what really India and faith and religion is all about. And that's why I think what's happening in the Supreme Court is even more important. Because many would say what happens inside the court is going to decide how women view religion and how religion views women. We'll have to see what really comes out of that. But thank you so much for joining us.